really want to leave women's wrestling better than it was when I got in it. In Brazil, you either play soccer or you fight MMA. So it was one or the other. I just always had a feeling that wrestling was it. His voice is in my head so much throughout the day. Doc gave me a phenomenal foundation, and Bruiser just polished it up and really made me who I am. I did the Crockett Cup, I want to say it was like my first year. I took in my Brazilian culture, and I feel like it really does give off that like killer, but also like you look like larger than life. She hit me the hardest I've ever been hit. I love doing intergender matches. Listen, Doc tried to get me off the top rope. I said,
Ladies and gentlemen, hosted by Coach C, Chris Sanders, this is Best for Business.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Another episode of Best for Business. I'm so pumped for this one. Clara Carter, thank you for joining me for this one.
thank you for having me.
It's crazy. I was telling JAC, like, you guys were like the first people out of New England I met when I was like 17 years old, still in high school. So now I'm 20.
Really?
So thank you for everything. I'm so happy to see you guys killing it.
Oh my gosh, you're doing great things too, I heard. So
I'm
that's really
trying. I'm
awesome.
trying. So one thing that sticks out about me off the rip about you, I remember when I was commentating your matches, before pro wrestling, what was it, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Yes.
So what was it about it? Did you always like that physicality on your body, or what was it about it that made you want to do it?
So I'm Brazilian. Both my parents are from Brazil. So in Brazil, you either play soccer or you fight MMA. So it was one or the other. And my mom wanted me to be able to defend myself because I'm a girl, and unfortunately, you know, the world is crazy. So she put me and my brothers in jiu-jitsu, and I was like, I want to say I was like 5 or 6 when I started. And I started competing when I got in middle school and high school and stuff like that. And the competing part came because I just liked, it was a male dominated sport, and I just liked being able to test myself against guys my age. I don't know why. I just always have. So
what was like the furthest you made in jiu-jitsu? Like, when did you stop?
I stopped my senior year of high school because my senior year was also when COVID hit. So everything just shut down. And then I started wrestling right after that. So then I just completely stopped.
So what was like the transition from jiu-jitsu to pro wrestling for you? What was it about wrestling?
So with wrestling, I've been watching wrestling since I was a kid because I'm the middle child and I have 2 brothers. So they always like outruled me whenever we got to pick what was on the TV. So I remember just seeing Shawn Michaels one day. It was I forgot who he was wrestling, but I just remember seeing Shawn Michaels on my TV, and I just thought he was the coolest person in the world. And every single week we would watch Raw, we'd watch SmackDown, we watch ECW, and I just never grew out of it. I don't know why. And my mom always told me that she doesn't care if I go to college. She doesn't care if I have like a big paying job. She just wants me to be happy. And I remember my jiu-jitsu coach was like, after you graduate high school, we're going to send you to Brazil. We're going to send you to Korea. Like, you're going to travel the world competing jiu-jitsu. It's going to be great. And in the back of my head, I was always had that pro wrestling in the back of my head, but I wouldn't tell him because I didn't want him to bully me because he thought it was ridiculous. So the way that I saw it was every Monday we would have training. Right when 8 o'clock hit, when I was at the jiu-jitsu gym, I'd be like, oh, Monday Night Raw is starting right now. But if I was sick and I couldn't go to training, it would be 8 o'clock and I wouldn't be thinking about jiu-jitsu. I'd be thinking about wrestling. So I was like, if my heart and my head is telling me pro wrestling is it, I need to give it a try.
So what was it like? Graduating high school, wrestling's the priority?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
What was that jump like for somebody who graduated high school a few years ago? Like, I was full steam ahead. I was about to go to University of Miami, but then I stopped to do pro wrestling and commentate. For you, like, how was that transition?
Honestly, I got my first job when I was 16, and I always knew, I just always had a feeling that wrestling was it. So I would put 25% of every paycheck I got, I would put into a savings account.
Smart.
And that's how I paid for wrestling, because I was like, this is going to be my payment for, because I treated wrestling like my college experience, because I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I trained in Knoxville, Tennessee. So I drove 4 hours to a completely different state. So I treated it as like my college experience.
Yeah. So where did you start pro wrestling? Is it North Carolina?
I started at Dr. Tom's school in
Yeah.
Knoxville, Tennessee.
Nice. So what would you say are like some of the biggest lessons you learned from Dr. Tom?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. Honestly, I his voice is in my head so much throughout the day, even with
Mhm.
things that don't even come to wrestling. The biggest thing is just don't be a pushover, but also don't be rude is the biggest thing that I learned from him. And there's like certain because when I was a teenager, teenage girls got attitudes, and I had the biggest attitude
Yeah.
in the world. And I would just like if you talk to me sideways, I would come at you with the same energy. And I really learned from Doc, like you can say whatever you want, but just mind your tone. It's
Yeah.
all in your tone. So that's the biggest thing I learned from him.
So where's Dr. Tom you're learning at?
My class was in Knoxville, Tennessee. Now
Okay.
he's in La Follette, Tennessee.
Okay. So now
Mhm.
you're in North Carolina, right?
Yes.
Would you say like there's a big difference from the Tennessee wrestling scene to North Carolina or like a strong point in any of them?
Honestly, it depends. Tennessee, I noticed is very old school.
Love it.
North Carolina, I think like depending on where you are is like a mix of both.
Hmm.
It's still very like story based, very old school type like that, but there are like certain places in North Carolina that love a good high spot. So
Yeah.
it really just depends.
So how do you get to AML?
So after I did Dr. Tom's, I moved back in because I was 19. So I moved back with my mom, and
Hmm.
it was a 3 month course. So after I was done with the 3 months, I went back to my mom. And I was like, well, what's next? Because I can't like I can't move my mom and my brothers all the way to Tennessee. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And like,
Yeah.
I didn't have the means to like get my own apartment and like completely move my life. So I was just searching around for like what was local to the area, and AML was an hour and a half from my mom. So I was like, that's an easy drive to make like every day. So that's how I kind of got into AML, and now here I am.
So when I had on JAC, he loves to talk about Bruiser. We talk about Dr. Tom. For you, what are like some of the biggest things you've learned from Bruiser?
Bruiser, honestly, when I went to Doc, I was fresh out of high school, like super scared of everything. Doc gave me a phenomenal foundation, and Bruiser just polished it up and really made me who I am.
Nice.
Bruiser's the one that like got me out of my shell and really like made me find out who Clara Carter actually is. So they both have very similar ways of teaching because Bruiser was trained by Harley Race.
Yeah.
So they're both very like old school, but Bruiser really made me into the bad bitch that I am, I think.
Nice. So I'm
Hmm.
curious. So I was doing a deep dive in your career. You've done some pretty cool things, but I'm curious to you. What would you say was like your first big opportunity in wrestling?
Oh gosh. Honestly, I did the Crockett Cup. I want to say it was like my first year. That came completely out of nowhere
Yeah.
because I remember Doc called me and he was like, "Hey, find a girl to tag with. We're gonna put you in the Crockett Cup." And looking back at it now,
Mhm.
I was not ready at
How old are you
all.
at the time?
I was, oh God, I was 20, maybe
That's
19, 20.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So looking back at it now, I was not ready at all. I was not ready, but it was a phenomenal learning experience because that's where I got to make connections with Kamille and with Medusa and with all these great people. And I also got to wrestle on AEW last year. That was also a really good experience. I felt like I was ready for that one, so I was a
Mhm.
lot less stressed. And I made a lot of really great connections there too. Christopher Daniels was my agent for my match, so
Nice.
it was really great to just be able to pick his brain. And then now, honestly, AML is giving me some really great opportunities too with the women that I'm getting to wrestle here. So I think I've just been really blessed,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah.
So I'm curious, in your eyes, what was that first interaction with JAC?
Honestly, so I was the only girl at the time, and I remember walking in, and he was the only one to come up and shake my hand. He was the
Nice.
only guy to come up and introduce himself. And the JAC that you see like in the ring is what I saw when I first met
Yeah.
him. And I was like, okay, this guy's kind of like a lot,
Yeah.
you know? But him and I really kind of bonded because he saw like how hard I worked because
Mhm.
I didn't want any special treatment just because I'm a girl and I'm smaller than anybody. I wanted to prove that like I can hang with him
Yeah.
given how big he is. So he kind of like started respecting me once he saw my work ethic and stuff, and we started talking because it was cauliflower ears. I was like, "Oh, you did MMA?" Like,
Mhm.
so that's kind of how we started talking. And I think once he realized that like I'm there to wrestle was when he like kind of opened up a little bit.
So when you talk about JAC, whose idea was it for him to use you as a weapon in some of his matches?
You know, I w I think it was one of the Dawson brothers.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
their fault.
Wow. So you talk about the when you first started, like you were one of the only girls, or one maybe the only girl for AML. Has that improved?
Um, This year, honestly, is when we started getting women again.
Nice.
I was the only girl for 2 or 3 years. We would have like one that would come in like every few months just to test it out, and then
Mhm.
she would realize like, oh, it's I'd rather just watch wrestling.
Yeah.
But now we have three other girls besides me that are training consistently. So.
Nice. Is
Mhm.
there a favorite match either teaming with or just managing and seeing JAC's had?
Oh my gosh, he's had some phenomenal one. I watched his match at Pro Wrestling Noah,
Yeah.
and that was really cool. In America, I would say he wrestled Griffin McCoy at PWF, and I loved that. It was so good. That was my
Nice.
first time seeing Griffin, and
Yeah.
he's amazing.
Yeah. So I see it behind you. What was your idea being a part of Fighters Club?
Um, they just needed a girl because they
Yeah.
wanted to like dominate all of wrestling, and they just needed a girl. So I was like, oh, here I am.
Yeah. So I'm looking at your career, and one thing that blew my mind, I forgot how many matches in. How many matches are you in when you're already winning championships?
Oh God. Oh,
Because it's pretty early on.
yeah, I think I was like less than 50 when I won my first one.
That's nuts. What was your first one?
It was the FWE championship, and I won it from Rachael Ellering, which is wild.
How was that match?
It was wild.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was ready, but she was so, even now I saw her at AEW last year and I haven't talked to her since then, which was like 4 years ago. And she came up to me, she remembered me, she remembered my name. She was so
Nice.
nice.
Yeah.
But it was such a learning experience because I learned a lot from her. She
Yeah.
really like held my hand and really helped me. Because a lot of girls, unfortunately, like in the South are really like kind of catty, like whenever there's a new girl in wrestling and they're like, oh, you gotta prove yourself, whatever. Rachel was the nicest person ever.
Nice. What about Julia Hart? What was it like wrestling her?
That was also really cool. It was gosh, I didn't think I was ready for that either, but um that was wild too because she trained for the Nightmare Factory, so she was trained like for TV and TV only. So she didn't really know like the indie kind of crowd. So it was a learning experience for her too, so that she could like kind of feel the crowd because it's different from
Yeah.
TV. It's a lot different.
Yeah. So I'm looking at your career. I was doing some research. What is a spot you get to do with Colby Corino?
Colby,
Is it a
I
rumble or a scramble or something?
I wrestled I did a scramble with Colby
Okay.
at AML and he threw me. And then I had a singles match with Colby at PWF and he beat my ass.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
Colby Corino for some reason got beef with me. It's
Yeah.
one-sided,
Yeah.
but yeah.
So one thing that sticks out about you and JAC is the creativity you guys have. So for you personally, I'm curious, whose idea is the Queen City Killer? Where's the inspiration behind that?
Um, so that came from I was like 3 months into wrestling and I was giving the ring announcer like my information and he was like, "Oh, where are you from?" I was like, "Charlotte, North Carolina." And he's like, "Oh, the Queen City Killer." And he just like thought of it off the top of his head. And I was like,
Yeah.
"I love that. I'm gonna keep it." So I
Nice.
kept it. And then it really kind of like progressed into the presentation that I have now. I feel like it fits really well because I took in my Brazilian culture and I feel like it really does give off that like killer, but also like you look like larger than life, you
Yeah, I
know?
was gonna ask that, like pink and blue gear, like what is the inspiration behind that?
So Brazil, there's a carnival every year. It's called Carnival, and it's like a
Creative.
yeah,
Yeah.
4 day, 4 night party all day, all
Yeah.
night, 24 hours a day. And the big feathers, big jewelry, big everything, that's what the girls in the parade wear. And Jesse JAC actually came up with the idea. He was in Japan and all the girls there, like Takumi, she has this big, beautiful jacket that she walks out with. And he was like, you should do something like that. So I got to just like looking up and I was like, well, my culture is like big and beautiful
Yeah.
and just extravagant. So it was his idea, but I executed it.
Nice. So when I look at your career, you've done some things that people still wish they'd have. So the first thing, I forgot which match comes first. Wrestling Jada Stone, is it the ladder or the steel cage match?
It was the latter
What
first.
was it like doing those? Because I know people on the indies who still wish they were in ladder matches.
That literally we wrestled twice that day. We wrestled at AML that afternoon, and then that night we wrestled at AIWF.
Yeah.
And it's like an hour apart, 45 minutes, an hour apart. And we got to AIWF and they were like, oh, well, since you guys like already wrestled today, like let's make it different. We're gonna put you in a ladder match now. So we had literally no time at all to prepare
Old school,
at
I love
all.
it.
Like, but I grew up watching Jeff Hardy, so I was
Yeah.
like, I'm ready. Like I already know what I want to do. But it for us, like having that thrown on us like 2 hours before bell, I am really proud of that
Yeah.
match.
So you talk about Jeff Hardy. We don't see a Swanton Bomb in Claire's moveset yet, right?
Listen,
No.
Doc tried to get me off the top rope. I said, it
Yeah.
ain't for me.
So after the ladder match, what about the steel cage one?
The steel cage came, I want to say 6 months to a year maybe
Okay.
after. We had like a little rivalry going on, and that was like their big WrestleMania show, like their biggest show of the year. And every match is in a cage. So
Yeah.
her and I, we did it in a cage so that JAC wouldn't be involved so he can mind his business because he's
Yeah.
a giant compared to Jada. So
Yeah.
I tried to beat her by myself and it
Yeah.
just didn't work.
So when you talk about NWA, again, something insane that you got to do, what was it like wrestling for the NWA World's Women's Championship? Because that's still nuts too.
Oh my gosh, it's wild. And Kamille, I learned so much from her. I got to wrestle her 3 or 4 times, I think.
Mhm.
And she hit me the hardest I've ever been hit.
Wow.
It is crazy. Her clotheslines almost took my life.
Yeah.
And now Kenzie Page is the NWA World's Women's Champion, and I trained with her at Doc, so it's just so cool to wrestling is just crazy. And to be able to see Kenzie like just really be that bitch is wild. It's really cool.
So you talk about wrestling being crazy. You mentioned Jeff Hardy. What was it like for you to share the ring with Jeff Hardy?
It was the great. Honestly, I thought it was a joke all the way up
Wow.
until he was actually in the ring with me
Yeah.
because Brian Hawks is one of the co-owners of AML, and every month, even still, I'm like, it's been a while since we had Jeff Hardy. I don't know what it is, but like whenever I'm like in a slump and like I'm just not really like feeling anything, like I watch Jeff Hardy and it gets me back in like my 7-year-old mindset and I
Yeah.
just fall in love with wrestling all over again. So my mom came to that show. That was the first time she's ever watched me wrestle live. Because she found out Jeff Hardy was going to be there and she was like, I want to meet Jeff Hardy. So she
No.
didn't come for me. She came for Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
But I remember Jeff like disappears backstage. He just like does it. He goes, paints his face. He just disappears. He does something.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't there when like all of us were getting together. So I was like, he's not in the match. Like it's a
Yeah.
joke. Like there's no way.
Yeah.
And then his music hit, and I'm like, oh my god, like this is crazy. And I had to literally like I was looking at him do his entrance, and I was in the ring with John Schuyler, and I was like, this is not real life. Like this is wild right now.
Yeah.
And technically, I eliminated him from that match. So technically, I beat Jeff Hardy.
Yeah. Add that to the resume. Did your mom get to finally meet him?
She did. She got a picture with him and she
Nice.
told him, she said, it's your fault that my daughter's wrestling.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you talked about earlier Kamille being the hardest hitter for you. Who would you say for opponent wise like brings the best out of you?
Oh God. Ella Envy, I wrestled her a lot and I always felt like I got better after I
Yeah.
shared the ring with her. Colby Corino really took me out of my comfort zone. Um, Jada always brings it. So I always gotta come with my A game when I wrestle Jada. But I would say Colby really got me out of my comfort zone and got me doing things that
Nice.
yeah.
So when I look at your resume, you've got to share the ring team with to go against some people that people wish. So the first one, what was it like team with Angelina Love?
That literally was so. I told her when we were in the locker room, I was like, "This is gonna sound so crazy, but I would watch you when you were in the Beautiful People."
No,
And
yeah.
she like, it's just so. I still learn so much from her because she still comes to AML, and she's always watching. Like even when I don't ask her to, she's always watching, and I always ask her for critique, for advice, for something I could do better. And she is so good at like maximizing every single second that she's on a TV screen.
Yeah.
And she really taught me that less is more, and you don't have to like do so much and like just like kind of like crowd people and drown them. And I think that she is so underrated.
Yeah. And then the last one I want to ask you about, this one still blows my mind because this one's crazy. ODB, what was it like sharing the ring with her?
She spit in my face.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah,
that was wild. I thought that was a joke too because I didn't see her until like I was standing at the curtain.
yeah.
And then she like it was a battle royal rumble kind of thing. So I was like, she's gonna disappear, someone's gonna eliminate her, like it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then I feel somebody grab me by the back of my head and I turn around and there she is. And I was
Wow.
like, yeah, that was another surreal moment too because I watched her when she was on Tough Enough too.
Oh yeah.
So, and she came up in the Midwest, which is where Bruiser came up in. So her and Bruiser are really close too.
Nice.
So, hmm
So one thing I'm curious about when I look at your career, you've done some cool things, but I'm curious. You say you like Shawn Michaels, Jeff Hardy, but you don't do swantons or super
hmm
kicks that much. So like, what is the
hmm
inspiration behind Clara? Is there like a certain someone or anything like that?
Clara, the inspiration behind Clara is honestly Doctor Tom Prichard and the Beer City Bruiser
Nice.
because they are both like just so old school and they really like they're just brawlers. Like they just
Yeah.
go in there, they get like down and dirty. And Doc, I don't like people don't really know Doctor Tom like the wrestler like from the
Hmm.
Heavenly Bodies or anything like that. They just know him as the greatest trainer of all time. But if you go back and look at Doctor Tom Prichard matches, he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
He was so good. So I really just take my inspiration from the both of them and I kind of just put it into one.
Yeah. One thing I gotta applaud you and JC. I didn't even get to tell him this because I was doing my research on you. Whose idea? I don't really know if it's an idea. You guys do promos all the time.
hmm
So I'm curious, is there someone that told you, or you guys just love taking that initiative? Because you guys do promos for every weekend pretty much. I
hmm
love it.
hmm It Doc and Bruiser, they're the ones that
Nice.
really put into our brains that you need to do a promo for every show. And like when you watch like WWE, like they do backstage stuff. They do
Yeah.
promos. They always set up a match. They don't ever just do a match for no reason, you know? So
Yeah.
it's hard like on the indies, like when you like there's one show a month, you know, people are
Yeah.
gonna forget like a month ago what happened and why this match is happening. So and like it's good to have your face on the feed every time.
Yeah.
So
Is there a favorite AML match for you?
I think the my match with Xia Brookside, I really enjoyed. I
Nice.
thought that was really good because I wrestled her one time in Tennessee like last year, and I wasn't proud of it. There was just a lot like going on with like the both of us and it was
Yeah.
just it felt rushed and I just wasn't really proud of it. So I this one I was like I'm gonna prove that like I can be at her level. I can meet her where she's at. Like we can put on a good match. And I'm really, really proud of that. I put it on my resume. That's how proud I
Nice.
was of it. So
What about PWF?
PW, I really loved. Oh God, me and JAC wrestled Jack Tatum and what's his name? Dylan Crossley, that
Uh,
jerk. Yeah, we wrestled both of them, and I really enjoyed that. I love doing intergender matches. Somebody told me they don't like it and I should stop doing it, and I really respect them, but I will only do it at PWF
nice.
because I really like PWF. I think Colby Corino train is a phenomenal trainer, and his trainees do like such different things. It's like weird because Colby is one of those that's like hybrid. Like he
Yeah.
does like a lot of like stuff that you see up north and then he brings it down south and then he brings stuff from down south and he brings it up north. So his
Yeah.
students are like hybrid, I think. So
Yeah.
I always enjoy wrestling his trainees.
I'm curious, is there like a favorite venue you've seen through wrestling? Because you guys do a lot of traveling.
Mm. I haven't got to wrestle at the 2300 arena yet, but I would
Okay.
love to.
Yeah.
I think that I'll be able to sometime this year. I would love to wrestle. Jesse got to wrestle in Kirk and Hall, and I'm so
You
jealous.
said that
I've
one.
always wanted to wrestle there. Um, but I like the bar shows, which is
Nice.
really weird. It's just like not in the summertime though, because it's hot and musty and
Yeah.
nasty. But I just think the vibes are like just really good for wrestling and entertainment.
Do you have a favorite match this year so far or no?
This year,
Yeah.
I think would be my tag match with JAC against
Nice.
Dylan and Jack. Yeah, that was in March, I think, March or April. And it really set the tone for me because I was like, this is gonna be a good year, I feel.
Yeah. Well, Clara, I want to thank you for doing this and taking the time. However, I've ended every interview the same now. The day you decide it's all done in wrestling, which obviously isn't anytime soon, but the day you decide it's all done, what do you want Clara Carter's legacy in pro wrestling to be?
I really want to leave women's wrestling better than it was when I got in it because there's one thing people don't talk about is like, especially in women's wrestling, and I hate it because I don't want to be like a stereotypical like women are mean and catty or whatever, but it's true. Like women in this industry on the indies can be very mean, very catty, very selfish, and it makes wrestling not fun. So I want to kind of like just get rid of it because I want people to just have fun, just come in here and have fun and just be kind to people because it takes a lot more effort to be mean than it does to be kind.
Yeah. Well, Clara, I want to thank you for joining me, man. I told you and JC, I was watching your matches in like high school when I was doing commentary notes. So the fact that we get to do this when I'm 20, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for doing this, Clara, and thank everybody for watching this episode. This was Best for Business.
Thank you for watching this episode of Best for Business. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, because this is Best for Business.